second. Okay, I'm back. So, today I got a video about this video that came out from Loudwire. If you don't know Loudwire, they're a place that brings you videos about, those interviews that you see, with David Ellefson I got right here. This Fact or Fiction Wikipedia. I love David Ellefson. I love that guy. He's great. Great bass player. Oh my god. My god. Killing bass player. But anyway, Loudwire. Almost, wow, 2 million subscribers. Holy crap. But anyway, this was the guy, Steve Thompson, in 2017, August 25th, he did a video with Loudwire about the mix of And Justice for All. I think that might have been the only album he did with Metallica. But anyway, let's watch it, see what he says.
I get called up to do And Justice for All and understand Metallica was my favorite band. I mean, I wanted to take And Justice for All and make Master of Puppets sound like a demo. I mean, that was my goal. But they wanted a different direction. They wanted more of a garagey direction. So what I can remember is I was working with my partner Mike Barbiero. We get in and start mixing the songs, and Lars had a specific way how he wanted his drums to sound. He would actually bring in pictures of an EQ setup, and
Lars, man, that guy's weird as hell. I don't know what's up with him. And Dave, what will? Anyway, Dave Mustaine explained it really well. He said James and Kirk and Rob and Cliff and Jason were great. They were great. They're pretty good guys. Well, James, he was a little fuzzy, during the Jason Newsted era. But if you exclude that whole thing, which is quite a bit of history, they're fine. But Lars, oh, I hate Lars. I really don't like him. He's not a good drummer. He isn't. He's just not good. And yeah, he's been playing for a really long time, but age doesn't make you better. It doesn't. You know why James and why Dave are such legendary guitar players? Because they're good. Not because they're getting older, because they're actually good. Lars is not good because he's bad. He's just a bad drummer and not a good person. In fact, it is his fault that the mix on this album is as terrible as it is, coming from the man himself.
So I told Mike Barbier, I said, Mike, why don't you work with Lars and get the drums the way he likes it? And once you get that, call me in. So they spent a lot of time getting the drum sounds and everything like that.
Goddamn Lars.
And so I walk in, Lars goes, yeah, I'm happy and everything like that. And I listened to it, I said, this sounds like shit. I hate this sound. So I chased everybody out of the room. I think I had Hetfield in the room. I kind of changed the drum sound to make, more what I was hearing. Then we put on the bass, the guitars, everything like that. And what was cool about Jason's parts, they were a perfect marriage with Hetfield's rhythm guitars. It was a great marriage. Worked out great. And so I'm getting the mix up and everything like that. Hetfield gives the thumbs up, so we decided to let Lars and everybody come in. So Lars comes in, and again, this is a long time ago. I'm trying to make sure I got the right memory here. And he walks in, he listens to it back a couple of seconds, he goes, he shakes his head, he says, stop tape. I said, what's the problem? What happened to my drum sound? And I think I basically said, you were serious? So we had...
the drum sound on that album is a little pingy. And Justice, here we go. Here, let's just listen to a couple tracks off this album. Oh, Full Out of My Face. Oh, that's a good video. I like that video. Um, Come on. Let me just look up one. 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 Here, so just listen to this. This is the studio version. No bass, obviously, because, the dickheads. I mean, the bass is okay. The bass is big, but the hi-hat and the snare are too high. They're too crunchy. The bass is too low. The highs are too high. You need to have a perfect mix. Because if you have these huge valleys in between the two mixes, that's why bands sound so full. That's why Megadeth sounds so full. They got the low end with David Ellefson. They got the high end with Dave Mustaine and Marty Friedman, or Kiko. And then they got kind of the mixture of them both with the drums. That's why they sound so full. This album doesn't sound so full because Lars is everywhere. I mean, his sound. Boy, listen to it. It's not good. Those hi-hats sound like shit. But it's a good track. This is probably Metallica. It's one of their best tracks of all time. It's amazing. So good. But could use with some bass and remix those drums. They sound like ass. Lars is a goddamn idiot.
Long story short, we had to get the drum sound the way he wanted. I'm like, oh god, here we go. And he goes, okay, now the bass. I said, great part. All right, I want you to drop the bass level down in the mix where you barely audibly can hear it. I thought it was a joke. So I did that. And then they said, all right, drop it down another 6 to 8 dB. I looked at Hetfield like this. I said, is this guy serious? And Hetfield went like this. Okay. So when that happened, I said, the vision, again, I understand. It's their record. It's not my record. But, I had again, I can't, at the end of the day, if the band wants something, regardless of what I think or say, it's their record. They have to have final say. I get that.
Yeah. It is true. And Lars is a fool. I don't know, man. I feel bad for Jason. He's a great bass player. In fact, he's the most influential bass player for me. He's one of the reasons I still play bass. Him and David Ellefson are the biggest inspirations, not only for my tone but the way I play. So, yeah, he got treated like shit in Metallica for such a great bass player. This album, they threw his talents out the window on this album. It's a good album, but needs some more bass and better drums, like I said.
But I was so pissed off the way this was sounding. I called up my managers and I said, I love this band, but their direction I'm not going to be happy with. Find somebody else to do this record. And at the time, Cliff Bernstein and Peter Mensch were managing the band. They talked us into staying with it and everything like that. And I'm saying to myself, why are you doing this? I didn't realize, obviously, with the Cliff Burton death, and the razzing, again, I wasn't around with Newstead when he was getting tormented, I guess. But I guess it was like a college prank thing or whatever. But I didn't understand the politics of that until later. And then I was unhappy. I mean, my biggest downfall is I wish, we were just jumping from project to project. I wish I would have said, you know what? When they leave, because they were on the Monsters of Rock tour, they would fly in from helicopter to come and improve mixes during that. I wish I spent a week or two after that just to mix it the way I heard it. At least have that. Because understand that the multi-track tapes had about 5 million edits on the multi-track. Which means you open that tape up today, chances are that whole multi-track is shredded. And I wish I would have mixed it the way I heard it. But here's the funny story. When Metallica got elected to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, they flew us in. And
You're raw.
so I get there. I think I was working in Canada at the time, so I flew in for the day or something like that into Cleveland. So I'm hanging out with Lars, And Lars comes up to me. We did have bass in the record, didn't we? I couldn't believe he said that. He said something that back. He was with his kids. Yeah. I says, "You're kidding me. You're absolutely kidding me." And it was kind of funny because I was hanging out with Jimmy Page there too. And I mean, I have so much respect for that band.
You know, that was the issue. Lars is just a dick. He is just the biggest dickhead that I've ever seen. People give Dave shit. I mean, yeah, Dave's a little bit, a little bit fruity, but Lars, you want to talk about an asshole? You go to Lars. That guy. I mean, what is he, like 2'3"? You could kick him like a football. How tall is Lars? Here, let me look this up. 5'6". Holy shit, he's short. I'm 14 and I'm just 1 inch shorter than him. 15 years old. And he's only 1 inch taller than me. Holy shit, man. He's as tall as a ninth grader. A freshman. Dude, that's ridiculous, man. It's some goddamn height. Jesus. Man. Wow, that's tiny. Jesus. Anyway, but yeah, I think if Metallica had a better drummer, they would be more legendary. And I'm not disvaluing Lars as a drummer. He works decent for Metallica. If he was in Megadeth or something, oh no, he would get kicked out in an instant. They would all hate him. He's not a drummer for Megadeth or something like that. But he works fine with Metallica. His habits as a drummer work well with him. But yeah, I hate Lars, but I love that album. And it's kind of the same thing with Load and Reload. I'm not saying they were great albums. They're far from great. I mean, they were just really far from great. But they weren't bad. Same thing with Death Magnetic. It wasn't bad. Metallica during Reload and Load were struggling, to say the least. It wasn't like Saint Anger level struggling, but they were still kind of struggling with drugs, as they put it. And Saint Anger is a terrible album. It's a piece of shit. It is one of the worst albums I've ever heard in my life. If you guys want to listen to a song that makes you want to rip every hair out of your head, listen to Dirty Window. That is... Man, that's bad. It's a bad song. It's so bad. But the reason that album was so bad is because the band itself was going through some shit. They were going through trying to get over drugs. They had some huge turmoil within the band itself, so they were, not happy. In fact, here, let me show you that piece of shit. Dirty Window. Oh, wow. First one. Jeez. This song's so bad. It's just bad. No. Jeez, it's ridiculous. Snare. That's not a bad riff. That's a pretty cool riff. I mean, it's not Metallica's greatest riff. Far from it. That's very far from their greatest riff, but it's okay. I mean, it's probably something I would write when I'm bored and just kind of noodling around. It's something I'd probably write, but whatever. Okay, not too bad. The lyrics. Wait for them. Wait for those lyrics. That's mixed like shit. You can barely hear the guitars. doesn't even really sound like James, to be honest. Here. This part, this is what I'm looking for. Ooh, wow, that is bad. That's atrocious. But yeah, yeah, yeah. The way they treated Jason is unforgivable. I don't care who passed. No excuse. You shouldn't have hired him if you were just gonna hate him for hate gonna hate bang him for decades. That's an interesting way to put that. So Lars the reason the only damned thing you can hear on Saint Anger is that damn pot and man is being on. I haven't heard that album in like 10 years and I can still hear that snare pinging in my head. Yeah, exactly. That snare's like terrible. Yeah. Yeah, I no comment. Oh, that's this stupid video.